All right, here we are at the bottom of page 2. We're in 4.3, page 2b, and the next set of problems, after you've been given 2 points and you have to find the slope, now you're going to be given the graph and you have to find the slope from there. So we're going to utilize, find the slope of each line from the graph. Now there's 2 methods you could use here, okay? So there's 2 options. You could use the formula, and that's what I'll demonstrate here. So they've kind of highlighted a couple points here for you, and I'll use our blue and pink that we've been using. This first point has the coordinates -3, 1, so there's our x1 and our y1. This second point has the coordinates of 3, -1, so there's the points x2, y2, so that's our second point. And then you could plug that into the formula. So m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and then you just start plugging in the pieces here. Y minus x over y minus x. Again, I do that so I don't drop any negatives. I'm convinced what needs to go in there. Okay. Our y2 as we point is going to be -1 in the first spot. Our y1 as we point to it, what we've labeled, it's a 1. Notice it's a 1 that goes in. According to the formula, I'm subtracting what that value is. I'm going to be subtracting that 1 value. Your, oops, sorry, I wrote y1 on the bottom. Should be x's on the bottom. Hopefully I said it right. Sometimes my brain skips ahead to what I'm going to say next, and I can't keep it all straight what I'm writing and saying. So the formula we're using is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so then I put in my x2, and it is 3. And I'm going to be subtracting whatever my x1 is, and in this case it's a -3. So I'm subtracting whatever that x is. So it's y1 minus whatever the y2 minus whatever the y1 is, x2 minus whatever the x1 is. Or you could have set it up as y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. If you're one of those curious types, go ahead and try it setting it up as y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. Do this same problem, only you set up the reverse. You should get the same answer. Okay? In this case, -1 minus 1 is going to give you a -2 on the top. And on the bottom, 3 minus a -3 is going to give you a 3 plus 3, which is then going to be 6 on the bottom. And so the slope that you get here is -1/3. Notice that it says find the slope of the line or state if it is undefined. And undefined, we remember from the top part of the page here, that's going to be a vertical line. Okay? And if you see a horizontal, you can either work it through and figure it out, or you can just remember horizontal is 0, vertical is undefined. Now that's one method. I could use the formula. Okay? So I could use the formula, or I could use rise over run and count it off using the picture. Using the line, the graph itself. Okay, so I can use the formula, or I can use rise over run. They've highlighted some points here, or you can pick some points. This one is not as obvious, so you want to look for where they exactly cross here. This is kind of a small version of this, but I'm highlighting the point -2, -4. And it also crosses up here at the point 4, -1. And to use the rise over run method, you pick the point, you pick either point, and then you describe how you'd move up or down to get even with the next point, and then you would describe how you would go left or right to get to that point. So in this case, our slope is going to be our rise over our run. And our rise, as we go, if I start at the pink point and I go up to get level with the blue point, I went from -4 to -1. I went up 3, and up translates to a positive. So I went up 3, which means a +3. Now I'm going to look at my run, my left to right. And my run, in this case, as I move up, I'm going to go to the right, and I end up going to the right 2, 4, 6. I go to the right 6. And going to the right is a positive value. So I end up with 3 over 6, or +1/2. That's the slope of this, is 1/2. So, and you could try either one. You could try the counting method on this one, and then you could try the formula on 18, but you would come up with the same value. So you can either use the formula or you can count it off using rise over run. It really doesn't matter to me which one you use. You're going to have opportunities to apply both when we get to exam time. So make sure you're able to do both and figure it out from there. Now the try problem is yours. There's several little points that are highlighted for you to be able to use. You can pick any 2 points if you're using the formula, or you can pick any 2 points to do the visual rise over run. Okay, hit pause, come back when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, you should get a slope of -2/3 for this. And then page 248, I just want to direct your attention to that for the reminder about what slope is. The book does a nice job of kind of packaging all this information that we've been talking about. You've got 2 points, change in y over change in x, also known as rise over run. The rise is your vertical change, the run is your horizontal change. If you take the coordinates of those 2 points, you would be subtracting, same order, second point minus first point. I also tell you you can do it the reverse. And then your rise is your movement up and down from one point to the next, and your run is your movement left or right. So they put it all in a nice little handy chart for you. And then note here on the bottom, as long as your x values are not the same. Because then you would create x2 minus x1 equals 0. I mean, they can be the same, but then slope becomes undefined because you're dividing by 0. It's going to be some number over 0, and what that creates is a vertical line. So what I should say is if the x values are the same, then your slope is undefined because you've got x divided by 0, and we don't divide by 0. And that creates what you've got is a situation we've got a vertical line because the x coordinates are both the same. You end up in that same straight up and down spot. Okay? All right, we'll move on to page 3.